Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I have decided that I kind of want to start doing like movie reviews. I don't even know, not necessarily reviews, like commentary, I guess. I don't really even know what to call it, but I love movies and I love talking about movies and finding all the little details of a film, and it drives the people I know insane. Drives them crazy, most of them. So I thought it'd be fun to just film videos about movies and kind of maybe theme it. Like for right now, we're gonna do Christmas, and then in January I want to start doing like Harry Potter and talk about the things that they left out of the movies. Anyways, I'm rambling, but I just thought that would be fun. So today I thought we would do Home Alone. I have a lot of notes here. Don't mind my very messy handwriting. Um, But I thought we would just start off with Home Alone because it's Christmas time, and Home Alone is one of those like quintessential Christmas movies, at least for me. It came out in the 90s. I was a kid in the 90s. I thought it was the coolest thing that Kevin was left home alone and he got to do all these crazy things, minus the, bad guys that show up because that's scary. But for the most part, I thought it was really cool. So I thought I would watch Home Alone and then just kind of give my thoughts on it. So first I'm just going to do a words are hard, apparently. A synopsis on from IMDb. For anyone who hasn't seen the movie, there will be spoilers, which I mean, who hasn't seen the movie? But if you haven't, go watch it. It's a pretty good movie. I don't know what else to say about it. So let's start. So it says an 8-year-old troublemaker must protect his house from a pair of burglars when he is accidentally left home alone by his family during Christmas vacation. So that is the synopsis. And it was written, the screenplay was written by John Hughes, who also wrote films like The Breakfast Club, Weird Science, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, a lot of the 80s teenager movies were written by John Hughes. And then he also wrote Flubber, which did not know that, but interesting to know that he wrote Flubber. It was directed by Chris Columbus, who directed Harry Potter's and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone, and Chamber of Secrets. He also directed Rent, the film, which I did not know. I thought that was interesting. Bicentennial Man and Mrs. Doubtfire. So I thought I would come up with some trivia. So first off, the part of Kevin was written with Macaulay Culkin in mind. Christopher Columbus was like, let's audition some other kids, see what happens. Auditioned a ton of kids, finally saw Macaulay Culkin near the very end of the auditions, and was like, he's perfect. Told John Hughes, yeah, he's great, he's perfect. So they went with Macaulay. Fuller, who is the bedwetter child that Kevin doesn't want to sleep in the same bed with, was actually played by Macaulay's real brother. And I think his name is Kieran Culkin. But he is also clear my throat, sorry guys. But he is also an actor still to this day. An interesting thing to note is Robert De Niro turned down the role of Harry, which later went to Joe Pesci, which I can't imagine anyone else playing Harry other than Joe Pesci. So, sorry, Robert. I think that was a good choice to turn it down. John Candy improvised most of his lines. He did all of his scenes he shot in one day. I think it was like a period of like 20 hours, something like that, because he only had one day available, and he did the film as a favor to John Hughes and Christopher Columbus. Now there's a couple of ideas floating around that he did the movie for free, or possibly that he did it for like $400. I'm leaning more towards the $400. That seems kind of like a scale pay for an actor for a day, and I don't know why he would do that. He's John freaking Candy. He can do whatever he wants. So that was kind of cool of him. And the last piece of trivia I have here is that Home Alone held the #1 spots for 12 weeks in the box office. So that's a very long time to hold the number one spot at the box office. So the first thing, every time I watch this movie now as an adult, the first thing I think of is how did the McAllisters own that home? Okay, they'll give you a little bit of information on that home. When it was sold by the woman who owned it in the 90s, when it was filming, she sold it in 2012 for $1.6 million. Now, I don't know what it would have been worth in 90 whatever, that I'm not sure what year it came out, but $1.6 million in 2012. That house is massive. It's gorgeous. I want to know what these people did. I'm thinking that the mom was like some kind of fashion designer because she has all those mannequins. And then there's rumors about the dad that maybe he was a criminal of some kind because he asks Joe Pesci in the beginning when he's pretending to be the cop if he's under arrest or something, and people think that's kind of a nod at he's supposedly some kind of criminal, which I don't really buy. I think that he was just probably some very successful businessman. One line in the very beginning that I think is really funny is when Kate McAllister, so Catherine O'Hara, says, "If Uncle Frank says no, it must be really bad." When Kevin is asking her if he can watch the movie and Frank is like, "Nah, you can't watch it, kid." Just makes me laugh. I think we all know someone like that or have someone in our family like that pretty much anything goes. So if they say no, then it must be really bad. So I just thought that line was funny. And they're so mean to Kevin, guys. Like, he's asking people to help him pack his suitcase and they're like brushing him off. He's 8. He doesn't know what to pack in his suitcase for a trip to Paris. So I just feel like they're so mean to him, and his parents brush him off. His aunts and uncles, well, actually his aunt seems pretty chill. His uncle is a jerk. That's just, Frank is a jerk. There's no way around that. But I just feel so bad for Kevin in the beginning when he's just trying to get someone to pay attention to him. There's all these people in the house. He's practically the baby. He just wants attention from his family. And they just don't treat him very nice. And then of course there's Buzz, who really doesn't treat him nice, but he's his older brother. I mean, what do you want to say about that, you know? And of course, as in true older brother form, he decides to tell Kevin and one of their cousins that the old man who lives next door is some kind of axe murderer, and that he keeps the bodies of his victims inside this monstrous garbage can full of rock salt. And somehow that mummifies the bodies. It's really definitely an older brother thing to do, but also just kind of a kid thing to do, to make up stories about your neighbors that you don't really necessarily know. So you just kind of throw things out there. The old man's not scary at all. Like, he just seems like this nice neighbor who's salting people's sidewalks, but kid mentality, I guess, right? I love the lengths that they go to make it plausible that they left Kevin home alone. So the first thing they do is they have that whole scene in the kitchen where Kevin is wanting a piece of cheese pizza, but it's all gone, and he's telling Buzz that who ate all the pizza, and Buzz is telling him he's going to throw it up, and that's how the only way he's going to get it. And so Kevin pushes him, starts fighting, knocks over some milk, and turn, the dad knocks over some soda, and it goes everywhere, all over their boarding passes for the plane. So the dad's mopping that up with paper towels and napkins and tosses that stuff away into the garbage can, and in the garbage can you can see a boarding pass that says Kevin. So of course they weren't short or didn't have an extra boarding pass when they got to the airport. So that's the number one way they started that. Number 2 is they sleep in, right? Power goes out, they sleep in, they're all running around the house like crazy people, not really paying attention, and he just grabbing bags, throwing them in the vans, and getting to the airport. And then the third way is that they did a head count outside, and the cousin who was doing the head count, she counts the neighbor boy who's over there being nosy, bugging the van drivers, bugging everybody, talking about trips, and he's in the van looking through everyone's suitcases. And so she counts him as one of the children. And that is how they think that they have enough people. And I would not put her in charge, just saying, of a head count, because when Catherine O'Hara, so Kate, the mom, asks her if she had all the kids, she like gives her all this attitude. She's like, in a partridge in a pear tree. And I would slap the smile right off of her and be like, Kate, I'm counting again because you do not take your job seriously. Just saying. She is not someone I would entrust in making sure all the kids are there. But moving on, I really love the imagery when the wind is blowing and it's leading up to the point where the tree gets knocked over into the power line. It's just so cool where it blows the bow off and you see one of those old school plastic lawn ornaments of a Santa that's just like blowing down the street like a can't even think of tumbleweed. There we go. My brain's not working. So it looks like a tumbleweed blowing down the road, and then you see all the trees moving. I just think it's really, really cool. Great piece of cinematography. So I always thought there was a nice little piece when Kate is paying the pizza boy. She's talking to the cop, and they're talking about their trip to Paris. I always thought that they had paid for the trip to Paris, but it's actually the brother who lives in Paris decided to like bring the whole family out. So I want to know what he does for a living too, to be living in Paris, be able to like bring his family out, all 15 of these people on a trip to Paris, the parents being in first class, kids being a coach. Like that's an expensive trip, and I want to know what he does for a living. But you only even see like one little clip of him while he's decorating the tree near the end. So they send Kevin up to that attic room to sleep by himself because he's being a brat or a jerk, as his uncle calls him, which I think he's just being a kid. I think he's just frustrated. He wanted a piece of pizza. He's kind of mouthy, which he's an 8-year-old kid. That happens. But they send him up there to sleep by himself, and he tells his mom, I don't even want a family. Like, I don't ever want to see you again. I wish you'd just go away. So the next morning, they're all waking up. They're all scrambling around, freaking out, getting out the door. Kevin finally comes down the stairs once they're all gone at the airport. And his wish has come true. He has made his family disappear. And I love his face when he says, I made my family disappear. And then he does like his little eyebrow thing. I can't do it. I'm not a young 8-year-old kid like Macaulay Culkin was. He was such a cute kid. But I love that part. And then I was noticing that Frank is really a penny pincher. He doesn't want to help pay for pizza. He doesn't want to leave a tip for the pizza. He is making sure that the champagne on the flight is free, making sure they like fill it. He wants his wife to put like, I don't know if they're salt shakers or if it's the silverware. I think it's a salt shaker, so I think he said they're crystal. He wants her to put them in his purse. It's just funny to me because I know someone like that who is such a penny pincher. They reuse the plastic utensils that come in takeout. They are always trying to get free stuff out of other people. So I just thought that was funny because I know someone like that. So they're on the plane. Kate is going through a list of things that she thinks she's forgotten. She just has this overwhelming feeling that she has forgotten something. And so she's thinking, did I turn the coffee off? Her husband's like, nope, I did it. She's like, did we lock the doors? Yeah, we locked the doors. Did you close the garage? He's like, that's it. We didn't close the garage. She's still not sure. She's still kind of in this moment where like, we forgot something. What did we forget? And I love Catherine O'Hara. I love the way her eyes kind of like, she's like, oh, okay, all relaxed. And then it's like that thing that happens at 3 a.m. where you've been trying to think of something all day and you couldn't remember it. And then at 3 a.m, you like jump up out of the bed and you're like, that's it. That's how I imagine her mind. She like gets all relaxed and then she's like, Kevin! And I'm not gonna scream, so don't worry, you don't have to turn your volume down. I just love that. I really love Catherine O'Hara to begin with. She's fantastic. If you guys haven't seen other things she's in, you should. She's in Schitt's Creek. She plays Moira. Fantastic. She's the reason I started watching that show, and it's brilliant. So go watch that. Oh, and then Frank again, just not. I just don't think he's aware of himself and how ignorant and rude and condescending he sounds, because he tells her, well, if it makes you feel any better, I forgot my glasses. Glasses, 8-year-old child. Like, not really a great comparison there, dude. He's not someone I would be friends with. So the scene where Macaulay Culkin does his scream, he actually wasn't supposed to leave his hands on his face. He was supposed to put it on, take his hands away, and then scream. But he just put them there and screamed, and so they kept it. And then in the second one, because he does it twice, they just had him put his hands there again. I thought that was interesting. It's always funny when things slip in that weren't meant to be there, but they make it in. I always love that. So the scene where Kevin is almost hit by the van with the wet bandits in it, that scene was actually filmed backwards. So Kevin is standing in front of the van, and then the van pulls back away backwards, and you actually can notice that his scarf goes up. Like when the van is coming towards him, his scarf is already up and out, and then it drops down once the van is up against him, which I thought is kind of cool that that's how they had to film that. So obviously no Macaulay Culkins were harmed in the film. Oh, actually, he was harmed because his finger actually did get bit by Joe Pesci during some of their rehearsals, and he did leave. He did break skin and left a scar. So actually, there were Macaulay Culkins harmed during the filming. So then we get to the scene where Macaulay is using the mannequins inside, and he's like dancing like this, and he's got Michael Jordan going around on the train track. I love that scene. I think that is such a kid thing to do, like thinking, oh, I'm just gonna put these mannequins up and someone will think there's people in here. It's kind of the idea of putting, I've never done this, so don't come at me, but putting like a mannequin or something in your front seat with you so you can use the carpool lane. It's kind of what I think of. But those mannequins, they're creepy. There's a lot more family time in this movie than I remember. I don't remember seeing the family as much as we do. In fact, the whole scene where they're at the brother's house and the other brother lives in Paris, and Frank is like passing out the shrimp, which again his sister-in-law is like, those are for later, and he just doesn't care. But that scene, I completely forgot about that scene. I forgot about the scene at the airport where they're all surrounding the counter trying to get a flight home. There's a lot of things that I actually forgot about, even though I watch this movie every year. It's funny how that happens. Let's see. I love how everyone hits the statue. Every time they drive into the driveway, they just slam right into that statue. I love how that's like a thread throughout the whole movie, along with the spider. Every time, you always see that spider, every once in a while the tarantula. And then I love the mentality of a child. So Kevin picks up the phone, he orders a pizza, and then instead of just going to the door and giving the guy the money and taking the pizza, they're going to give you the money. They don't care who answers the door, right? You have the money, you order a pizza, they don't care. But a kid's mentality is, hey, let's not do that. Let's use the TV, that movie he was watching. We'll use that movie to talk to the pizza guy, give him the money, and then scare him off with the gunshots. I just think that's such a kid thing, like thinking he won't give me the pizza if I open the door because I'm just a kid. I think that's funny. I love the cashier at the grocery store when he is buying the fabric softener and the milk and stuff, because she's the only person in this movie who seems to care that Kevin's kind of alone and there's no adults around him. She asks him questions like, where's your mom? Aren't you a little young to be shopping? Where's your dad? How about your siblings? So I really love her that she doesn't do anything, because what is she going to do? But I like that she actually pays attention to that. Bringing up the cop who comes to the house. What? Why in the world, if a mother calls you and says, hey, my kid has been left home alone, he's only 8 years old, could you go check on him? Why would you just knock on the door? Like, the kid's not going to answer. He's home alone. He's scared. He's not going to come to the door. Like, I would break in. I mean, I think that's probable cause enough to, like, go into the house and make sure the kid's okay. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would have broken into the house and told the parents later, like, sorry, I broke your door, but wanted to make sure your kid was good. I mean, I know it's a movie, and I know that if that happened, then that we wouldn't have the rest of the movie, but I would not be happy with that cop if I were his parents. I love the scene where he goes to church and he meets his neighbor, finally realizes he's not an axe murderer. He's just a lonely old man who lives next door, had a huge fight with his family, mostly his son, and now he has to watch his granddaughter sing in secret. Such a sad scene. Breaks my heart, pulls my heartstrings a little bit. That was not in the original screenplay. Chris Columbus wanted to put in that storyline because he thought that there needed to be a little bit more to the film than just this kid and these burglars and the chaos that ensues with that. He wanted to kind of ground it a little bit more. And so I thought that was a really sweet moment, and the conversation they're having about, not about the clothes that Kevin's grandparents sent him and how embarrassing they are. We've all had that, right? Where grandma gives us a sweater that we're like, thanks, grandma, I love it. Like, it's so good. And then you never wear it except for when you see grandma. That just makes me laugh. So then we get to the point where the bells are ringing, Kevin's running home, he's got to set up his masterpiece, right? The blueprints that he rolls out, Macaulay Culkin actually designed that and drew it up, colored it, and everything. So good on him. He's also a little artist, not just an actor. But I think that these things are so good, and I would have never thought about them. But again, it's a kid mentality, right? Where they think, okay, yeah, this hurts to step on, so we're just going to throw these all over the floor. Or I'm just going to throw these paint cans down the stairs. Sorry if I'm using my hands a lot and swinging this thing around. But I really love that. There are a couple parts that I can't watch. So one of those parts being when when Marv steps on the nail when he's coming up the basement stairs and his shoes get stuck to the tar or whatever it is that Kevin puts down. So he takes them off, takes the socks off, and is climbing the stairs, and he's got that nail. And you got like this real close-up shot on it. I have to turn my head every time until Marv starts to scream. And I think that actor's name, I didn't tell you what his name was. Let's see. I think his name, Daniel Stern. So when he starts to scream, that's when I can look back again. I can't watch him stepping on the nail because, ooh. And then when Kevin puts a spider on his face, I can't really watch that scene either because I hate spiders of any kind. Every time he was crawling across the screen, I was like, oh, even though he's nowhere near me and can't hurt me, and this was 30 years ago, but can't do it. Can't do spiders. But I just love all those things that Kevin did, thinking to ice the stairs. The flamethrower thing on Marv's head is really genius. I love that Kevin finally calls the cops, and when he does, he calls them to the neighbor's house instead of to his own. I mean, I guess again, 8-year-old kid necessarily doesn't think about calling the cops at first, and then when he does, he wants it to be the neighbor's house. Who knows why? I guess because he knew he was going to lead them there eventually. And then I love that at the neighbor's house, Kevin gets put up on the coat hanger and he's stuck, right? The wet bandits they have him. He's done for. Nothing that he can do at this point. All of his booby traps that he has set are gone. He's really in trouble. And I like that they bring that in there, because at the end of the day, Kevin is 8. The Wet Bandits are 2 full-grown men who are not dumb. I mean, they're really not dumb. They knew to get into people's houses as a police officer, figure out what their security system looked like, figure out if they're going to be home. So they're not dumb. So at the end of the day, Kevin escaping them really doesn't seem likely. So I do like that part, and I like that the neighbor comes and saves him. And then we have Christmas morning, so we're nearing the end of the film, and I love the shot when Kevin has come down the stairs. He's looking for his mom. She's not there, so he goes back upstairs, and then he hears her downstairs, and he comes back, and he still doesn't see her, and she comes around the corner, and Kevin is facing the camera, and you see her come from behind him, and he just freezes because he can sense her there. I love that scene. I also love how he doesn't immediately like run to her. He kind of gives her this look like, you left me. Why did you leave me? Until she apologizes. And then he's like, oh, okay, that's enough. I'm ready to see my mom. Then the family comes home, so she really could have waited. She didn't need to spend all her time with the polka band, but that's okay because we needed some John Candy, because he's hilarious. I love the story he tells her about leaving his son at the mortuary. I would be scarred for life and would never leave my house again if someone left me at a mortuary. So hopefully that kid's okay. But I love that story. Love John Candy. And then I love that the neighbor in the end reunites with his family. You see him outside hugging his son, his daughter-in-law, and his granddaughter, and then waving at Kevin. I really love that part. And then of course we can't end on a happy note. We have to end on a funny note because it is comedy, and you hear Buzz yelling, Kevin, what did you do to my room? Because Kevin has destroyed his room. It is the first time that I understand the anger at Kevin. I would have been furious, and the kid had better stay out of my way for quite some time if he had done to my room what he does to Buzz's. So that's the first time I understand the frustration with Kevin. Before that, I'm like, he's just 8. Anyways, so I love this movie. I have to watch it every year. I hope you guys enjoy the movie as much as I do. I hope you enjoy this video. And next week I am going to do the Santa Claus. So if you do like this video, stay tuned for next week. I'm going to go ahead and do some commentary for that one. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you later.